Welcome back to the channel, survivors. Aberration is just 2 weeks away, and as exciting as that is, there's still a major, and I mean major concern that could have a serious impact on the game and its players. What is it, and why is it crucial? Well, let's dive right in. So diving right into the big concern that has been buzzing around the ARK community, and that is related to the Zeppelin blimp war machine thing that is part of the Bob's Tall Tales DLC. Will this officially allow players to break the no-flyer rule here on the Aberration map? And if so, we could be seeing a serious, and I mean a serious pay-to-win issue for not only PvP players, but even PvE. So first, let's do a recap here on Bob's Tall Tales and what it's all about. Well, Bob's Tall Tales was launched when the Scorched Earth map went live for ARK Survival Ascended. It was a separate purchase on top of the price of ARK Survival Ascended for players via Steam. We can see here that it's going to cost an additional $29, and it did actually consist of 3, not 1, but 3 different DLC packs, and they were all set to debut on specific maps. We obviously had the Frontier pack that dropped with Scorched Earth, featured tons of Western style themed stuff. It features things like the train mechanic in the game, which was a huge topic on its own related to pay to win. And last but not least, it also introduced the Oasisaur, which, you probably already aware. You guys are watching this video, you know about the Oasisaur and how pay to win, or how much advantage it gave players who purchased it versus players who did not. So again, all of that was already included in the Bob's Tall Tales. Well, we're about to receive our second pack, and that is the Steampunk Ascent pack. And the Steampunk Ascent pack will feature a full steampunk overhaul related to skins for your survivor, your dino, as you can see here, for the rock drake, and potentially even structures, because again, that's what we also saw with the Frontier Adventure pack for Scorched Earth. On top of that, though, we also are getting the new Cosmo creature, which essentially gives your character the ability to swing around the map like a Spider-Man superhero, as they hinted in one of the community crunches, which again, that in itself is already kind of pay to win, and a lot of people have already been discussing that. But the highlight of the video is actually going to be the Zeppelin blimp, air machine, war machine, whatever you want to call it, thing that was also featured here in the key art. The Bob's Tall Tales Steam store does offer a little bit more details. It does mention some level of customization. It says climb above the subterranean depths of Aberration in your own mighty customizable airship. But here's the kicker: Aberration is a no-flying map. It does feature creatures like the rock drake, for instance, that has the ability to glide. It features the brand new creature that's going to be launching, and that is the Yi Ling, which also is a gliding creature, not a flying creature. And obviously, last but not least, we have things like the Survivor's gliding suit that you can build and craft and wear to glide easier and traverse the map. But it does not feature any true flying mechanics. And the concern here is pretty straightforward. I mean, will these Zeppelins or airships or blimps, whatever you want to call it, give players the ability to truly fly on this no-flying map? If that's the case, we could be looking at a serious pay-to-win issue. In official PvP servers, this would give players a massive, and I mean massive, advantage over others, and I know players are truly not going to be happy about that. We've already seen pay-to-win concerns in the game with the Fantastic Tames pack, specifically the Pyromane, and recently we've seen it here with Cosmo, who could give players the ability to swing around the map like Spider-Man and give them essentially an unlimited durability as a grappling hook. And this has already sparked a lot of controversy, so imagine the uproar if the Zeppelin offers true flight here on Aberration. In my opinion, if the Zeppelin or airship does offer true flight here on Aberration, well, I think it's 100% pay to win, not only for PvP, but also PvE. In PvP, it's obvious, right? It's going to give players the ability to fly and control their flight across the map a lot easier over other players who haven't purchased the pack. That's self-explanatory. But when it relates to PvE, and why I also personally feel this would be very overpowered or could potentially be overpowered, relates to the supply drops. I remember back in ARK Survival Evolved, which needless to say was at its initial launch. I don't know how things were changed long term because I didn't play the map for long term, but back when it originally launched, these supply drops were in very very hard to reach places, and a lot of them actually were featured higher up to areas you couldn't simply get to with your bare legs. You either had to have climbing picks or zip lines or, grapple, something to be able to get your way up there. And a lot of times, like I said, you spent a good portion of the early game not being able to farm those drops because of where they were placed. Obviously, we don't know the remastered version of Aberration, and maybe they have changed that. But what I will state is that if this is still true in this version of, Aberration, this brand new mount giving the players ability to have full control over their flight would be a huge advantage in collecting these drops over other players, and especially if it moves relatively quick compared to a person using a climbing pick. This is going to be a huge issue that I could see popping out on official maps, but even private maps, as players would simply get there quicker and harvest the drop while you just wasted all your durability on your climbing pick, for example. And now I'm hoping that's not the case here for these airships, and I'm just completely wrong, but there is only one possibility, and I mean one possibility that I have come up with that, again, is pure speculation at this point, that could potentially still give players the freedom, or control over their flight like a true flying, tame would do, but also kind of minimize the pay-to-win aspect, and that is just simply the speed of this Zeppelin or airship. If it is like balls slow, like super duper slow, then I can kind of see it taking that competitive advantage away, where if you could use a climbing pick, like I said in that last example, and make it to the top where a supply drop is faster than a Zeppelin or a airship can make it there, then obviously I think that, sure, you could argue that it's not 100% pay to win, or maybe it doesn't have as much or big of a competitive edge as, some other pay to win aspects that they've added into the game, the pyro main, right? So I understand like that could be maybe the only scenario where that does kind of even the playing field. It would still be useful, I guess, for transporting goods across the map, which again is probably a whole nother conversation in itself, but obviously we have to just wait and see what it's like in the game, or until the developers release additional information. And now, as always, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the Zeppelin airship blimp thing? Are you expecting it to 100% be pay to win when it drops, or do you think that Wildcard will find some sort of way to balance it? Let me know your thoughts and concerns down below in the comment section. And if you found this video helpful or interesting, hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing here on the channel for more ARK content. Also, don't forget that I do have a ARK community with a variety of ARK servers. If you guys are interested in joining that, all you have to do is join the Discord. That link is down below in the description. With that being said, though, guys, as always, thank you for tuning in. I'll be keeping a close eye on this and additional developments as we approach Aberration's official launch. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you all on the next one.